There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. Honorable members, I wish to acknowledge the presence in the gallery of the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Madagascar, His Excellency Jean-Max Rakotomamonji, and the Vice President of the German Parliament, the Bundestag, Her Excellency Mrs. Ulla Schmidt, and their respective delegations. Welcome to the Parliament. The Secretary will read the order of the day.
Reply by the
Achtbare Speaker, een punt van orde.
Yes, Honorable Groene.
Achtbare Speaker, u sal onthou dat die hoofsweep van die Vryheidsfront Plus het 'n vorige punt van orde geneem in terme van 7 en 328 en dat gaan spesifiek oor die notules van die verlede week se opening van die staatspresident se rede wat hy gelewer het. Ons het die gewysigde notules ontvang. Ons sal dit aanvaar, agbare Speaker, alhoewel ek dit moet meld dat daar nie verwys word in die gewysigde notules dat u as Speaker onderneem het dat u 'n behoorlike ondersoek sal doen na die feit dat die selfone nie gewerk het nie. En ons wil dit hier op rekord plaas, want soos u weet in terme van artikel 20 van die wet op voorregte van parlementslede, gaan dit in die hof gebruik word, siene dat daar wel 'n hofsaak aan die gang is. En wil ons dit net baie duidelik weer hier stel, dat daar duidelik weer eens neem word dat u onderneem het om wel daardie ondersoek te laat doen. Ek dank u.
Honorable Groenewald, I'm sorry I was struggling with my earpiece, but I gather you are raising the issue relating of the sitting of Thursday.
That's correct, Honorable Speaker. What I actually said in short is that we received the revised minutes of the House, although we're not satisfied because the revised minutes does not refer to your undertaking that you will investigate the matter about the signals that has been scrambled. So we will accept them, but let it be noted that you have given an undertaking that a thorough investigation will be done by Parliament. Thank you.
Yes, okay. I accept, Honorable Groenewald, your point is noted, but I do believe that the chairperson of the NCOP did actually make a ruling on the matter today, and that there are details that don't go into the minutes, but are there in the Hansard. So that's normally the way the record is kept. But I acknowledge what was saying, and we will look at it. The Secretary will read the order of the day.
reply by the President to the debate on the address.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Speaker, Honorable Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, all presiding officers, Honorable Deputy President, Honorable Ministers, Premiers, and Deputy Ministers, members of the Royal Griqua House present here, religious leaders, and traditional leaders, all our special guests, including interns from the Department of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries, honorable members, fellow South Africans. For more than a century, millions of our people, led by the ANC, pursued relentlessly and heroic struggles against the dehumanizing system of colonialism and apartheid. They devoted their lives and were always ready to pay the ultimate price for the cause of building a more humane South Africa, underpinned by a better life for all. It is now almost 21 years since we started the radical from colonialism of a special type, national democratic society, founded on the strategic vision of the Freedom Charter. Since then, we have never looked back. Our strategic focus remains that of rebuilding and developing our country for the benefit of all South Africans, regardless of who they voted for during national general elections or local government elections. We want to build a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous society, as expressed in the Freedom Charter and in the Constitution of the Republic. Honorable members, we presented before Parliament the 2015 State of the Nation Address last Thursday, which is a report back on work done during the previous year and an outline of the program of action for the current financial year. We outlined the areas of work that we believe are necessary to tackle for us to ignite growth and create much-needed jobs. We thank all honorable members for their contribution to the debate. We welcome and appreciate all inputs that have been made by all members. Amilcar Cabral once said, and I quote, "Always bear in mind that the people are not fighting for ideas, for the things in one's head. They are fighting to win material benefits, to live better, peace, to see their lives go forward, to guarantee the future of their children, unquote. Therefore, our people look to us to provide answers and solutions to the difficulties they face. It is no other house except this house to do so for our people. They look up to us to assure them that the country is on track and that the mission of building a united and prosperous society continues, and that the life will get better each day. Indeed, the country is on track. Work continues daily to build and improve the quality of life of all, especially the poor, the working class. South Africa is a success story. It will continue to be so, despite that challenges and the legacy of apartheid colonialism that we are confronted with is always a challenge to us. Our task is to contribute in whatever way we can in our areas of work to take this success forward. Our democracy remains solid. All our democratic institutions, including government agencies, are strong and functional. Dedicated men and women working in these institutions perform their tasks as they should each day, taking forward the consolidation of our democracy and providing services and hope to our people. Improvements must be made in areas of work within the public service and government is alive to these realities. Each year, we strive to do better and to take the country forward. That is the purpose of the State of the Nation Address, to identify challenges, progress, and further work. We mentioned that we would prioritize 9 areas this year. These include energy, strengthening of mining towns, agriculture, small business development, cooperatives, infrastructure development, including water, transport, communication technologies, boosting the industrial policy, attracting investments, and Operation Pagisa. Progress is being made in these areas as part of ensuring that the country's wealth is shared among and by all, as proclaimed in the Freedom Charter. Honorable Godi correctly pointed out that we have not fundamentally touched the structure of the economy in order to effect true economic transformation. It is for this reason that 20 years into freedom, we are still grappling with poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Inequality is still us in the face. Census 2011 informed us that the income of households has hardly changed, and that the income of white households is still 6 times more than that of black households. In addition, the black majority still owns only 3% of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, pointing to the need to move faster to achieve meaningful economic emancipation. We have called for radical economic transformation. By this we mean actions such as the industrialization of the economy, boosting and expanding agriculture and manufacturing, and adding value to South Africa's mineral wealth to open up opportunities for economic participation for more people and create jobs. As part of changing the structure and the economy, the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Amendment Act was proclaimed into law in October last year. To give effect to the act finalized. A broad-based Black Economic Commission is to be appointed this year to oversee the overall implementation. The broad-based Black economic empowerment and ensure effective reporting and monitoring. In addition, as said in the SONA, a program to create and support Black industrialists over 3 years was launched in 2014. As Minister Patel pointed out, work to expand on of the economy through dismantling cartels and monopolies is also ongoing. The Competition Commission has already taken action against many companies for collusion and corruption. I'm not sure about the difference between these two words, though. Whether colluding is not corruption, I'm not sure. Economic transformation to unlock growth also means improving the support provided to small enterprises, especially township and rural enterprises, which will promote economic at the local level. Honorable Manyoni, the chairperson of the South African Local Government Association, reminded us of the importance of local government and, in particular, the development of small towns, rural towns, and townships, which are home to 50% of the population. The township or informal economy has been stunted by the lack of basic economic infrastructure and formal support. As a result, the township corner and spaza shops, butchery, and other small businesses are disappearing and need to be revived and supported. And tragic and unacceptable incidents of violence and the looting of shops of foreign nationals in Soweto were a reminder of the need to support local entrepreneurs and eliminate possibilities for criminal elements to exploit local frustrations. As said before, we condemn attacks on foreign nationals. And there can be no justification for that type of conduct in any community in our country. We have announced that we would institute 30% asides for small business, cooperatives, and smallholders so that they can benefit government procurement. Some progress was made last year in supporting cooperatives. As of 30 October 2014, 158 cooperatives approved for funding to the value of more than 43 million rand. Five areas were identified for the pilot rollout during the consultation phase, and they are Mtansane in the Eastern Cape, KwaMaye in Gauteng, Chakuma and Motimoli in Limpopo, Bombela and Libombo in Mpumalanga, and Drakenstein in the Western Cape. Honorable Lekota, we are taking action to improve the performance of the supply chain management system in government, to prevent the fruitless and futile expenditure, corruption, and other problems that you raised. Government buys goods, services, and infrastructure worth roughly 500 billion rand a year. Often we pay the highest price. And one part of government who does not know how much the other part of government pays for goods or services. The bulk of negative audit opinions arise from potentially avoidable procurement violations. This is also an area where corruption or allegations of corruptions occur. To respond to these challenges, in 2013, we established the Chief Procurement Office, which will become operational on the 1st of April this year. All tenders will be on an electronic tender portal, which will free access to sector tenders across the length and breadth of South Africa. This will give small businesses an advantage compared to the current system. They have to pay money for administrative costs in order to obtain hard copies of tests. A centralized supplier database will also be phased in, starting from the 1st of April 2015. Once fully functional, this will replace the 600 or so supplier databases that currently exist. The system will offer a quick and more effective mechanism for verifying supplier information such as their BEE status, tax certificates, and the like. These are factors that currently give rise to negative audit outcomes for departments. The economic cluster departments will work with the National Treasury further to explore practical and effective mechanisms of using state procurement to give practical expression to the National Development Plan and our socio-economic objectives, including supporting SMMEs and cooperatives. When necessary, we will consider amending existing legal and regulatory frameworks to accomplish this goal. Honorable members, improving the quality of education and training remains an apex priority of our government. Progress is being made to steadily improve outcomes in the basic education sector. We believe we have the right formula at last, and that results in all grades will continue to steadily improve. Honorable Akota, about the post-school sector and referred to the need to reopen education colleges and to provide bursaries to students. And I'm very happy that the honorable member yesterday raised. He was not very angry and very noisy as I always hear him. Because at times I fail to hear him when he's fighting and banging. Yesterday he was really constructive. That's why I heard things that he said. I must congratulate you, Honorable, because when you sat down, looked and listened to the State of the Nation address, you were able to produce constructive things that we are taking. I'm even sending instructions to ministers. That's what is needed. That's what our people are waiting for. The white paper for post-school education and training provides for the establishment of community education and training colleges that will primarily target youth and adults who did not complete school or who have never attended school before. The process of identifying 9 community education and training colleges for piloting in 2015 has been completed. This initiative will be implemented in collaboration with local authorities, sector education and training authorities, community and business. This is in addition to the reopening of teacher and nursing colleges. With regards to funding, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme remains the most significant instrument available to government for opening the doors to poor and working class communities. Many high-profile, successful South Africans are NAFSA's beneficiaries. The scheme is a major contributor to the development of the growing black middle class in South Africa. In 1999, NAFSA's paid 441 million rand in financial aid to students. And in 2014, this rose to over 2 billion rand to assist 450,000 students at 25 public universities and 50 technical and vocational education and training colleges. The National Youth Development Agency also runs the 10 million the 10 million student fund. 20 million rand Solomon Mahlangu scholarship for tertiary education, which has assisted close to 300 students. We thank other institutions beyond government that provide bursaries and scholarships. We also welcome and congratulate students that assist others who are less fortunate, such as the Wits University Students Representative Council, working with the Wits Foundation, who are running a campaign to raise funds to assist needy students to register. We have also noted the frustrations of many students about residential accommodation in our institutions. The Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission is looking for solutions on this matter. In addition, the Department of Higher Education and Training allocated 1.6 billion rand between 2012 and 2014, specifically to build and refurbish student residences. The bulk of the money, 1.4 billion rand, has been allocated to historically black institutions. This allocation, together with the 700,000 rand contribution from universities, will fund approximately 9,000 new beds for the system. As Honorable Minister Nzimande and Honorable Mahambe Shala, Mahambe Shala, Honorable Mahambe Shala outlined that we are indeed investing in our young people. We are opening the doors of learning for our youth. Siyaqhuba. Kwezemfundo siyasebenza, asilali, shintshe inhlo impilo zabantu zibe ngcono. Kusho ukuthi we are implementing the Freedom Charter, that the doors of learning shall be open. Honorable Olom, I assure you that what you called instability at the top echelons of the crime-busting institutions is being attended to. This matter great concern to us. There is no government that would not be worried, even if it was only 2 or 3 institutions that are affected. Even if it was a single institution, it would be one too many, given that we have prioritized fight against crime and corruption. The head of the Special Investigating Unit, Advocate Vasoni, would be leaving his post at the end of February due to personal challenges at home, in particular the health of his wife. He has done exceptionally well in a short space of time. His departure is a great loss. We wish him and his family well. A number of honorable members from the opposition benches referred to the Land Holdings Bill. Honorable members should remember that the Green Paper on land reform was first released in 2011 for public comments. The Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Honorable Cele, provided the detail of this proposed bill. There will be opportunity for comments once it reaches Parliament. I've also received emails from concerned members of the public seeking clarity on this matter. Ms. Tanya Elstone, Ms. Karen Smith, and Mr. Jan Gronje have asked whether a foreign national wishing to buy a home in Johannesburg would be able to do that, and if the limit on foreign ownership was confined to agricultural land. The answer is that the land holdings applies to agricultural land. It does not affect those foreign nationals who are planning to buy homes or residences. Mr. Roy Cocaine has asked similar questions. And also whether the new policy will apply to multinational corporations operating in South Africa. Multinationals will do it only if their future property purchases consist of agriculture my good friend, Mr. Charles, a sugar cane farmer in Pongola, in KwaZulu-Natal, says that if the law is passed, the country will have a food crisis. Mr. Senegal says that farmers in the country produce 70% of our food. And if they are forced to reduce the size of their farms, their production could be halved. This sentiment was also expressed by Honorable Mulder. There are two answers to this issue. Taking these actions precisely because the fate of too many is in the hands of too few. We are keenly aware of the contribution of the country's hard-working farmers to the economy and food security. However, the effective participation of previously excluded black majority in agriculture and food production will only occur meaningfully when they have access to land and the means to work it. An inclusive and process will be used to assess the situation of different commodities and in different localities, so as to make sure that is done that will prejudice food security in the country. Allow me, honorable members, to acknowledge the progressive farmers who have begun to implement the principle of 50-50, where farm workers and farmers share ownership of the farm, as alluded by the Deputy Minister Cele. Honorable members, I had mentioned in the SONA that some new labor laws or amendments were coming into effect this year. Honorable Malema raised concerns about workers who are unemployed as temporary workers for more than 10 or 20 years and being supplied by labor brokers. In terms of the amendment, in terms of the amended Labor Relations Act, Relations of Employment Act, and the Employment Equity Act, the issues raised by the honorable member have been resolved. In terms of the Basic of Employment Act and the Labor Relations Act, as amended, all workers employed permanently. Temporary work contracts will not exceed 3 months. As Honorable Makue also pointed out. In addition, honorable members, Deputy President will continue to lead the network dialogue relating to a national minimum wage. Commend Honorable Malema for really dealing with the State of the Nation address. Because that's what is wanted. Our debate, our views in this democracy to be expressed here properly and with respect. Honorable Shenge, for acknowledging the nation's dramatic successes in the fight against HIV. We know we now have 2.7 million South Africans on antiretroviral treatment. Dabezita. We have 3,590 public facilities now initiating patients on antiretroviral treatment compared to 490 in February 2010. It is a dramatic increase. One of our greatest success stories remains the remarkable 67% reduction of mother-to-child transmission of HIV from 8%. From 8% in 2008 to 2.6% in 2012. I must also comment Shenge, Ndabezita. You always, no matter how your views are, is raise matters with dignity and respect. At times, you resemble a father figure. Because as members of parliament get excited, at times, all the presiding officers and others not to hear what is being said, you always stand indeed to say, Pansi. Pansi. Always good to have senior citizens around. Remarkably, 50 million people have to date been tested for HIV through the HIV counseling testing campaign. This indicates that the stigma around the disease is being eradicated, which will assist prevention efforts. Life expectancy is improving in South Africa, and we want to do this further by launching the massive tuberculosis campaign next month. We are also continuing to implement the National Health Insurance Scheme at a number of pilot sites. The scheme is aimed at making access to health equal for all, regardless of class or financial means. Sibonga bonke abantu bakithi ngokusebenzisana nohulumeni. Ukulwa nesifo sengculazi. sesivule izikhungo ezidlule ezinkulungwaneni ezintathu lapho abantu bethola khona imishanguzo yaleli gciwane. Nomama nezingane abanegciwane bayalashwa. Impilo abantu bayaphila manje. Sebephindele nasemsebenzini manje abanye ngoba sebephilile. Asisangcwabi njengakuqala ngenxa yemishanguzo elebeni. Siyabonga kubantu batha amaphilisi nokuhlola ukuze bathole ukwelashwa. Kufuneka umuntu uzazi ukuthi unjani na noma uphili. Hlala uzichecka nje ukuze isifo usithole sisangena ngenhlonhlo njengempandla. Ukwazi ukusihlehlisa. Ngoba uma uhlale kakhulu siyoze singene ngaphakathi sizalele sakhe izidleke kube nzima ukulapheka kwaso. Mphathiswa umama Majodina ubeke kwacaca okwenziwa uhulumeni ukwenza izimpilo zabantu zibe ngcono. Ubale ezempilo, izibonelo ezitholwa abadala, izibonelo ezitholwa abadala nabancane ezingakhethi ibala lamuntu, ezisiza nabakhubazekile. Kwabala i-uniform yesikole, ukudla ezikoleni, nokuningi okuxosha indlala. Impela uhulumeni uyabasiza abantu, wenza izimpilo zibe ngcono kunakuqala. Ukwenza lokho imihla ngemihla noma imihla namalanga. Ya, siyakhupha. Honorable Mulder, nobody is chasing the Afrikaners or the Afrikaner compatriots away from this country. Not a single one. I began the address last week with an affirmation of the Freedom Charter pronouncement that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. And we believe in it. The preamble of the Constitution makes a similar profound affirmation. Let us work together to build our country. Leave finger pointing aside. I know that this was taken when we were celebrating the birthday of the ANC. When the ANC was celebrating 103 years since it was born. I had to give a history of this country, and the history is history. History has chapters, painful chapters, wonderful chapters. But it is history. When I said, when we landed in the Western Cape, our problems began. is a historic fact. Now, I always avoid giving the details of the history. When he landed, there were residents here in this very city who were established. The Cohen son. They were living here, and they welcomed him warmly. And he established himself. They were somewhere, somehow, a tension began. And there were wars that were fought. They were removed here forcefully from their area. Removed. Them went deep into the country, north, south, east. And the wars began because after the population arriving in South Africa grew, it is written down, it's not me concocting it. There were 8 major wars that were fought in the Eastern Cape. I didn't write that. We are not counting other small wars. 8 major wars. There was a great track from here when there was a quarrel between us and the British. As a history of this country, there was an establishment of 4, 2 belonging to the British, 2 belonging to the Afrikaners. When all of this was done, the blacks were not consulted, even the establishment of the republics. The clash between Afrikaners and the British continued. There is no part of the country that there were no clashes. With the British, with the Afrikaners. Some are big, some are not known. The Zulus fought the British, and the major one was at Isandlwana. The Afrikaners fought the Zulus, and Ngombe, what you call the Brald River. And the British, the Afrikaners discovered, as they call it, the discovery, they actually came across mineral resources. And the British heard this, and they vowed to defeat the Afrikaners. And there was an Anglo-Boer war. As a country. Very bitter war. We all participated on either side. Only now, when we are correcting history, we are calling it a South African war because we all died. At the end of that war, the English-speaking and the Afrikaners managed to negotiate and agreed the 4 republics should be combined and took very important decisions. Where will the parliament be as part of compromises? It will be in Cape Town. Where will the administrative city, Pretoria? Where will be the judiciary? Stayed in Bloemfontein. And one of the decisions, when these 2 met, was that you will have, therefore, a union of South Africa, the government who should be elected at all times, but the black people would not participate in that process. It was that decision that made the black people to make a call to meet in Mangaung in Bloemfontein to discuss what we called the national calamity, that the indigenous people are not to be part of governing this country. Very bad decision on an important decision of uniting the four republics. It was that time that we said we are going to fight to liberate ourselves, to be part of government. To participate, you must know, because this country was still under British fully. There were delegations that went to England to raise the matters. We did not want to fight. We wanted to be part of the process to govern this country. This now are the activities, many years, the landing of Jan van Riebeeck, who opened the way for them to be here. They started fighting here, Eastern Cape, Free State, everywhere. There were wars. Again, after many years, we said, but what type of a country do we want? Because we must be clear, if we say we want a non-racial South Africa, what are we talking about? That's why the meeting in 1955, wherein everyone in this South Africa, including government, to say what type of a country do we want. And that's why the Freedom Charter is important, because that's when we molded it today, a democratic, prosperous country. And important in that gathering is a preamble of the Freedom Charter. That is the basic policy of the ruling party, where we said, people of South Africa declare for all to know that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. Is a fundamental statement. No government can claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. This is what we have achieved now. How can you say Afrikaners, they must go? No, I just said the problem began when Jan van Riebeeck came here. That is not saying we don't want the Afrikaners. We have long recognized the fact that we live in this country, all of us. It is in the Freedom Charter. No ANC person can say what people should go here. There were some political organizations at some point who were saying the white man must go into sea. We never bought that, because we know people move in this world. You moved out of certain problems and landed here. And you accepted you hands. We are all South African citizens. We are a rainbow nation. And nobody will chase you away. We will fight against those who will say so, because you belong here. So there must be no fear. Oh. I just want to make this point as clear. But we'll never stop talking about the history, because our children must know where we come from, so that coming generations should not repeat mistakes of the past. I thought it's important to point more clearer, because when perhaps I make it in passing, people think that this man is racist. I would never be a racist. I fight against those who suppress the minorities. I believe in what was said many times by our leader Mandela. When arrested by the white oppressors, he told them in court that I fought against white domination, I fought against black domination. I believe in the ideals where all of us will be equal, having equal opportunities in this country. That's what we believe in. That's what we believe in. What we do today as government is informed by those principles. You can say many things. Many people can say things about us. That's why we don't worry at times when you call us names. We don't worry because you know what we are doing. You know, during the struggle, we were called that, or were referred to as terrorists. In Zulu, Amapegula School. In Xhosa, Ofunzeweni. Really making us like we are not human beings. This man that everybody today praises. You know? Terrorist number one, sent to Robben Island, he served 27 years. First just served 10 years, few years. 27 years. The best of his prime of his life, he spent in Robben Island. And came out not angry, not bitter. And said, let us build our country. You know, we always keep quiet when those who imprisoned him praise him today. Not just praise him, claim him as their own. That are being thrown at us today were thrown all the time. And I'll deal with this matter when I answer questions next week, more strongly. Honorable members, going forward with the National Reconciliation Project, allow me to remind government departments and national entities that the implementation of the Use of Official Languages Act must be rolled out by the 2nd of 2015. Government departments must communicate with the people in languages they understand. Schools should also prepare to teach African languages, build a new citizenry of youth that will be able to understand and respect one another. Honorable Waters and Honorable Kraling, we have admitted that load shedding is a serious challenge and an impediment to economic growth. There's no argument about it. Honorable Minister Brown further outlined what we are doing to deal with this matter. The extensive short, medium, and long-term plan to deal with the challenge requires that we work together to ensure success. Honorable members, The country will celebrate years of the Freedom Charter on the 26th, 2015. And I would like people not to be jealous because at that time, there were not many organizations. So in no way people could have participated. I'm sure if it was today, would have all participated. On the 27th April, our Freedom Day, we will celebrate 25 years since the release of President Mandela and the unbanning of the organizations, which came about as a result of the relentless and selfless struggles of our people. We began the journey then to transform our country from apartheid and colonialism to a national democratic society. We will also reflect on the road traveled and the successes scored. We are definitely not sitting with a nightmare, as Honorable Waters said. We are sitting in a country that is doing well with a people who are determined to make things work. We will not allow prophets of doom to downplay the hard work and successes of millions of our people. South Africa was privileged to have an icon like President Mandela as its first democratically elected president. However, this does not make South Africa to the economic, social, or political challenges at certain periods. Despite the challenges, South Africa is getting many things right. The economy possesses the necessary dynamism to position the country as a competitive player in a difficult global economic environment. Honorable Hill Lewis, you are correct that South Africa's GDP growth, South Africa's GDP growth rate has been lower than other member countries of SADC. But your reasoning or your reasons are wrong. The very premise of thinking about it is wrong. Because we are not looking at facts as we are, in a sense, propelled by your ideas. While the slow growth on our part reflects some domestic constraints that we are facing, such as the current electricity constraint, it also reflects the relative level of development of the South African economy compared to the regional economies. Less developed countries tend to grow faster than more developed countries, as there is more spare capacity, underutilized land and general and opportunities that have not been used. If a country is relatively more developed than other countries, it is more likely that it will grow at a slower pace or rate. Advanced economies, for an example, grow at a much slower rate than emerging markets. It's a scientific fact. South Africa is not an advanced economy, and we face many challenges. However, in some cases, our level of development is very high, especially compared to countries in the region. For an example, our financial sector has similar levels of development to many advanced economies. Patterns observed in the SADC region are not different to other parts of the world. For an example, growth in Eastern Europe is much stronger than growth in Western Europe, as the level of development converges between Eastern and Western Europe. Growth in Eastern Europe will slow down, while it is unrealistic to expect South Africa to grow at levels seen in some of the countries in the region with lower levels of GDP per capita or low levels of development. We definitely have the potential to grow at much higher levels than the current levels. Government is addressing the bottlenecks in the economy and implementing the National Development Plan. This will allow us to grow at a significantly higher growth rate. Honorable members, millions of South Africans want their country to succeed. We will continue to work with them to move South Africa forward. As we conclude the SONA 2015 debate, we are reminded of the unfortunate incidents of last Thursday. We all have a responsibility to make Parliament work. Parliament is a very important institution of democracy, where the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of all our people must find expression. Yes. What our views are about one another or political parties that we represent, we need to preserve the dignity of Parliament. We must ensure that our people do not lose confidence in Parliament's ability to discharge its important constitutional responsibility to produce legislation aimed at improving the quality of. We also have a responsibility to promote the Constitution, which is the blood and soul of our democracy. I therefore would like to reaffirm government's commitment to Clause 16 of the Constitution, which includes freedoms of association, expression, and the media. The cluster has addressed and clarified matters relating to the signal disruption, the interference in the House last Thursday. It is an unfortunate incident, and it should never happen again. It is absolutely important that all of us, from all parties, and I would imagine that when people, they understand that we represent them, and they must feel, as they look at us, that we are dealing with their matters responsibly. with dignity, with clarity. But also even among ourselves, even if we differ, I always see no reason why we should get angry. What for? This is not war. We're not fighting. Democracy says, be free to express your views and allow the other to express their views as well. That is democracy. You might have views about somebody, or about me, for that matter. Like, for an example, you know, if you are angry, you can say things that you wouldn't have said if you were not angry, because you're angry. Once you're angry, the capacity to think gets affected. I always believe you must always remain cool and calm. I always make this example that many people fight when somebody says, "Winja, you're a dog." They fight. I've never fought. Many people have called me that because I'm not a dog. Why should I fight? Really? I don't have a mouth like this and a tail. If whoever calls me a dog, there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, because I'm not. Ngumuntu nje ngukudla ihlekisa. So let us keep our cool. Let us debate the matter. Soccer players say, play the ball, not the man. Well, now that I'm talking about the ball, compatriots, the national netball team, Amantombazana, will participate in the Netball World Cup in Australia in August this year. We wish them well and urge the nation to support them wholeheartedly. Let me also join the Minister of Arts and Culture in congratulating musician Walter Kellerman. That's correct. Kellerman. Who won the Grammy Award for the Best New Age album last week at the Grammy Awards in the United States. Our artists and sports people, Baku, but South Africa. Baku, that's strong. Honorable members, Honorable Speaker, we remain firmly focused on building a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous South Africa. Let me close with the words of President Oliver Tambo, uttered in 1991 at the first ANC conference after the unbanning. He had this to say, and I quote, "We did not tear ourselves apart because of lack of progress at times. We were always ready to accept our mistakes and to correct them. Even in bleak moments, we were never in doubt regarding the winning of freedom. We have never been in doubt that the people's cause shall triumph." Unquote. Yinde lendlela esihambayo. Yinde lendlela esihambayo. Siyabonga. Riabulela. Bayadangi.
I order and business for the day. The joint sitting is adjourned.